So, hello everyone. Welcome to our call on Redwood Economics. We had a great conversation for 1 hour until now on the Redwood governance, but more on the general topic of how referendums are passed, what is the process, and all of that. You should go and check it out if you're seeing this through the recording. We are here right now. This is part 3 of our conversation with Mark on the Redwood Economics referendum. And last time we talked, there was a question from Miguel that we ended with that was around how are we going to make it viable for small businesses to economically viable, for small businesses to accept seeds and have the safety of accepting seeds and not actually taking a huge amount of risk or other negative things happening to them as a result of accepting seeds as a currency. I see that Miguel is here. If he wants to confirm if that is the question, yeah, great. So I see that Mark, Alex, Terry from the Redwood Economics, John also are here. I'll pass it on to Mark to start off with this really important question.
Well, I think, Miguel, that this is the central question, is how does the seeds global currency work in the world in a way that is effective and robust and reliable? Before I get into my thoughts on the conversation, I see Guy's hand is up, and there's others that maybe want to add to the foundation for this conversation.
Okay, great. Guy?
Yeah, I'm here. I just wanted to add of what we said that about Miguel's question. I just noticed on the Telegram groups, there's some people that are a bit unhappy with what's going on right now with seeds, people that bought seeds a long time ago and now they're realizing they cannot exchange them, that channels are down. You know, there's a little bit of frustration from people who are, I don't know how deep is their involvement and how much they know about what's going on, but it is part of the same question. He was talking about little businesses, and also it's a lot of individuals who are here for many different reasons. This is irrelevant, but I just wanted to say that in the last few days I saw a few messages pointing in this direction, which is a bit of a worry, or a bit something we should be aware
of. Thank you for that. I think that this is a little bit different than a person who is accepting payment for something that they're selling, because either way, the people who invested like a year ago had a much less risk than a person who will be accepting payment in the future, or I don't know if it has less risk. It was a different situation. Mark maybe is gonna have some thoughts about that, but it's a completely different. One is people are expecting this to be an investment product, and the other is people are expecting this to be like something that is used for exchange of value on the ground. So I just wanted to point out that these are two different questions. And Miguel, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that discussion immensely. And I wanted to add something because it's also reflecting my actual situation. So I will make it as short as possible. I'm full-time into seeds. I'm working as an ambassador here in Guatemala. I receive my salary 100% in seeds. And so far I have been allowed, or I've been given that opportunity, that possibility to sell back 25% of my salary to fiat. This alone, just that everybody knows, is not covering even my expenses. So I'm in a situation that I committed completely to seeds, and I knew the risk, and I completely accept whatever will come in my personal situation in the future. But I tell you that I cannot, as an ambassador, even already work like this in that case. And how can I transport really to other people, that we are building up a regenerative system which is based on abundance and a completely new thing, based on human values. If I try my best I can since actually 8 months, and it's not working out for me. So this is something I also would like to put out, just a question, and to see, okay, do we find a solution? If yes, great. And if not, then most likely in 3 months, I will not appear anymore because, I'm bankrupt. And I'm not blaming anybody for this. I knew what risk I would take. I was warned also, but I think it's a good showcase. I can just share how it works for me as somebody who since 8 months is basically 100% committed to seeds and trying his best to find a way to have his needs met and to invite other people. I mean, I was suggested as a lead ambassador. I invited many people. Enthusiasm was there. Then at some point I wanted to leave. I was disappointed. Now enthusiasm comes back. And still the situation is as it is. So I just want to put that out. Thank you, everybody. Not wanting to take more time. Okay.
Thanks, Miguel. Thank you for your connection with the groundwork, and second with putting forth that unique case. I also have been a little bit for a couple of months in a similar case, but not full time, and I appreciate the challenges that come up. And thank you. Alex, do you want to add something to this ground that we're building?
Yeah, I would like to, if I can really quickly. I wanted to thank Guy and Miguel for their questions, because I completely feel this sense of urgency. I'm completely in line with what you've said. And from my point of view, the referendum that we've put together is a way forward, is a way to unlock the situation and finally deliver what we said we would deliver in a context that inspire trusts. Because if we have clarity on the value of seeds, then all this complexity, confusion goes away, and people can now use seeds on the ground, knowing that the value is set and that it will be respected by the community by agreement and consistent behavior. So for me, if anything, this referendum is a way to unlock the situation and respond to this sense of urgency, because there's a lot of people waiting for that on the ground to happen. And they have put a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of resources into this project, and we cannot, from my point of view, delay any longer. Like I have myself a sense of responsibility on that front, and I feel that by trying to intellectualize everything and plan in advance for everything, we're kind of missing the window and the real essence of what we are trying to achieve. So really, from my point of view, the referendum we've tried to put together, and it's a progressive thing. We just set the foundations and said we'll need to build on it as a collective. But the main purpose was to give this possibility of a way forward for everyone who is deeply involved in seeds and on the ground. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say to set the scene.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah. So I'll pass it on to Mark now.
I would also, if Julio and John and Terry, who are also in the community of building this, writing this referendum, if they wanted to add a foundational start before I speak.
Okay, thank you.
No, go.
Julio. Terry.
No, go ahead, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay. So I want to also evidence at the beginning right now where the economics referendum vote is. So there have been 63 citizens that have voted. We know that there's about 450 citizens altogether. We know in the previous cycle, nearly 200 citizens did vote. And that was by far the most that have ever come together to do anything. So we know that it's possible to get 200 citizens to vote. The way that we got 200 citizens to vote last time was in the last 3 days or so. And it wasn't just me, but Soren and everybody was posting, this is this current situation, please go vote. I can say that in Kenya, Felix and others in that community have quite a large number of citizens, and they all came together and they voted. In this situation, we have had only 63 votes so far. So there is time to get more votes. Inside the Seeds Commons, Justin and Tyler, for two somewhat slightly different reasons, have voted against this proposal. And there's actually 12 people now that have voted against this proposal. Or maybe it's 11. I just did the quick count, but I didn't automate it yet. So 11 or 12 people have voted against. And so there's been discussions to say, let's gather the information from the people who have voted against so that we can learn, and maybe we can address them and possibly even get this proposal to pass this time. Because as Miguel and others, the time, it's very expensive in time to wait another month to craft a new proposal and then another month after that for voting. And our governance always allows a very small number of votes to cause the proposal to fail because it requires 90% yes votes. And that's part of the reason why the governance referendum can also pass. They only have 9 negative votes so far, and the economics has 11 negative votes. Both of these can pass. But it requires reaching out to the citizens and helping them understand, if they choose, that passing these referendums moves the ecosystem forward in an intentional and positive way. It does not answer all of the questions. The implementation is going to take time and be complex, but it has to be implemented in a way where there is consensus in how the implementation works. So before I go any further, because I want to focus on the economic questions specifically, I'm really happy to see Elisa speak up here.
It's just a clarification, Mark. Are you saying that if the economic referendum is passed, Miguel will not be bankrupt? I mean, would it practically help him?
That is a wonderful, wonderful and important question. And it's true for many, many, many people in the Seeds ecosystem that have contributed value in their time, in their attention, in their care, in their work, in many communities. And it's these local projects. When we look at that, there's 10,000 accounts that have signed up. That didn't happen by accident. That happened by people inspiring other people. And 10,000 is a pretty big number. But I will want to get into the numbers, the dollars, the euros, the Japanese yen, the fiat. How will this work? And if this is a place where I can start that, Apostle, I'm happy to start that.
Yes, I would love that.
Could I hear from Miguel?
From what?
From Miguel.
From Miguel.
Could I hear from Miguel?
Does he think that, just to reiterate the question, does he think that if this passes, he won't be broke? Is that the question?
Yeah, that it will help
in
people on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Miguel?
Well, that's actually why I'm attending this call, to find out more if there is a chance that somebody who does that groundwork as an ambassador in a bioregion is being supported for just covering his mere expenses. So I'm just all ears and listening and try to understand myself. So I also have no clue. I'm willing to try any experiment that may work or fail. I'm anyway already with seeds doing such an experiment. So nothing to lose more than what I'm anyway already put on the card.
Thank you, Miguel. John?
Yeah. So I want to try to answer your question, Alicia, in this way, that the only way that Miguel and me and Satya and anybody else who is either invested a lot of their time or a lot of their money and is now sitting with seeds, not to be broke, is for us to solve the problems that Alex started with, which is we have these two elements of a currency, or a cryptocurrency that we're working with. One is it wants to be held as an investment so that it appreciates, and that's why a lot of people bought it at the beginning, or some people did at least. And at the same time, it needs to be, as Terry keeps coming back to, it needs to be usable. It needs to be circulating in an economy as its own currency. And then you can figure out how to translate it back and forth between fiat. So most cryptocurrencies are not in use of currencies. They're strictly speculative stores of value. That's all that's happening in the crypto world, mostly. We're trying to do something that, has occupied two different worlds. And Terry's been involved in alternative currencies, which typically have not been cryptocurrencies. They've been issued script or ledgers kept on a computer somewhere for time, labor. I mean, there's a lot of different ways of doing it. We're trying to combine those. And at the same time, we're trying to reward regenerative work. So we're trying to take this whole thing, do something completely new, and apply it to what the world needs now, rather than the stupid old system that's grinding everything up and throwing everything away. So we have to solve those problems. We have to solve all of those problems for it to work. The current proposal is one way of moving forward to solve those problems. It may not. We may not be able to do it. It puts a lot of pressure on the commons, the people in the commons, as Mark said earlier, to actually implement what's in this proposal. And there's 1,000 details, 1,000 trip points in all of that. And, Mark, we put into there some ideas about how to create liquidity. We didn't put in the proposal, this is the way liquidity is going to be produced, because we don't know. We have to figure it out. So this, from our point of view, this was a way of having the experiment move forward rather than just get cold stopped, which it is right now. It's cold stopped right now. We have to find a way of moving it forward. And Reichi's fork would have been a way to move it forward. I don't agree that it would have worked. I don't think it was the right thing to do because it splits the community. I don't agree with it, but it would have been a way to move forward. So whatever we do, we've got to find a way to move forward so that Miguel, you have income, so that what the heart and work and time and effort and money that's been put into this for the last 3 years. I don't even know how long it's been. I've been in less than a year. does produce something of value. There.
Thank you, John. Yeah, thank you, Terry.
First of all, John, thanks for that. You said a whole lot of things really well, and I'm very appreciative of that. Alex, I really appreciated the way you spoke to it as well. The vote, Mark, you're in a different place now than you were last Wednesday. Last Wednesday, you were saying, look at the odds of us being able to get this referendum passed are very remote now because the number of no votes have to go up only a little bit and would be really impossible. But there's another possibility, Mark, and that is we could get others who voted no to change their vote. That's not possible? They can't change their vote?
You can't change the vote until another cycle. Our system does not allow people to change their vote.
Well, then that's a biggie. That's a biggie. Because we knew in the beginning, frankly, that if Reiki wasn't supportive of this, that he would have influence over a number of people, and that would be detrimental. And so that is indeed what's happened. We made the mistake, in my judgment, of not getting Reiki on board in the beginning. To frame it, or even delayed a month to get it framed to where Reiki and the people who are very supportive of Reiki would have supported it. So everybody on this call, I think we made a mistake in not doing that, because like it or not, the way the community works right now, there are some people who have a whole lot of influence in the voting process because there's not, 10,000 citizens. There's only 400. So that's the first thing I wanted to say. So what that says to me, Mark, is even though you're being more optimistic on this phone call, it appears to me that it's going to be very difficult to get this referendum to pass. The second thing I would say is that, if you come back in on this phone call and say, yeah, let's do the fight and get the, another 200 people to vote, then I'll say, yes, let's find a way to do that. But my judgment at this point is that probably isn't going to be very successful. The second thing I want to say about this is that we put only, as Alex explained, only one piece of this forward, which was the key piece, which let's get this thing to go live so people like Miguel can start to get some real seeds to use. That's what Alex was saying. And that raises all kinds of questions about what do we do about the startup costs of the seeds that Manuel has already received. What do we do with all those seeds? And we felt that there was a way to solve that, but laying all that out in this referendum would have been too complex. And so we left it to the Commons to work out a lot of the particulars. So our solution, rather than go into 20 different things that we saw could be issues that people could bring up, we turned it over to the Commons. That may have been a mistake. And the more I think about it now, the more I think that what probably would have been more important is to have said, we want to educate everybody to the totality of how this will work before we put the referendum up, and get all the key people that would be really important in a voting process to be on board beforehand. Because there's a lot of pieces, in my judgment, to how we make it work as a constant currency that we have not broken down yet. And I think it's important to break those things down and be able to explain to people how we can answer all those questions. Where we go from here with what I've just said, I'm not quite clear. I'll throw that to the rest of the people on the phone call. But it appears to me there's a number of pieces that we should have done differently. And that our idea, Apostle, of doing one piece, not doing tons of other pieces, probably didn't work in this situation.
I sense the pessimistic tone in your voice, and I just want to say that there is still a lot of opportunity for this to pass in the coming days.
Okay.
So just to not put the how do you say, fish in the oven too fast. So with this, Mark, I'll just go through the other people who have a hand up, and then I'll come to you. Nadim, please.
Thank you, Apostle, and thank you, Brother Terry. And we can say the Do Tell will send out an email newsletter again in maybe a couple of days as a reminder to the citizens that there are some referendums out there that needs their voice. So yeah, we still have time. But I'm curious about maybe Julio, if you'd like to answer to that, or Mark, about the concerns brought up from the brother guy the last time with the Faircoin story and all that. So I would love to hear if we have this in mind and we say, hey, we can cover this and we have kind of a solution with that and we will not top in the same failure. So if we can talk about that, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Okay, we will keep that in mind. Julio?
Yeah, well, I will not directly answer to that right now, but because the proposal that Guy brought actually involves using mutual credits, and it's very different from what seeds currently is. So it would be hard to implement. But there are some parts of his concerns that are doable, but some that are very hard to do. Maybe Mark can speak more about this. But what I wanted to say is, well, since that roundtable event, seeds is stalled, stopped, frozen. I mean, people don't trust seeds, people don't buy seeds. I just got some people coming to me and wanting to buy seeds, and they heard about stuff and they are afraid to use seeds and to buy seeds. People in the communities, I can see that probably this is happening as well. So we have a very grave situation, people. So when Reiki came and said, seeds is broken, let's fix seeds, let's fork seeds in the round table, he did what he kind of wanted at that time, to actually say, let's stop seeds. We need to fix seeds, let's stop seeds. And he was trying to do that. And this time, maybe he did it. So in a way, with that event, we kind of froze seeds. And this referendum is an attempt to bring life back into seeds, to say, hey, let's start using seeds again, because it's going to be safe again to use seeds. That's what the referendum is about. So if we have a reference price, we're not saying that's going to be constant, fixed forever. And we want a reference price that allows people to trust seeds again and start using it again. Okay, oh, it's back, it's working again. Now we have the Seeds Commons as the body that's, moving seeds forward. It's no longer Haifa, because Haifa in a way just kind of moved away from seeds in a way. So I mean, there are some things going on, but it's when the community building, the movement building circle left Haifa to become their own do. I mean, things started becoming different. Now we have different organizations taking care of seeds, which is great, which is maturing. But we need to, I mean, if we want this thing to survive, we need to bring security to people so they can know they can use this currency again. And right now, I don't think it's safe to use seeds. I'm not using seeds, and I'm not recommending people to buy seeds. And, so I want to move ahead from that, and to wait for another month to bring another referendum to voting with the changes. I know if that's the thing that needs to be done, let's do it. But I mean, every month that we take is draining reputation, is draining people from the movement. So I am concerned. That's my voice.
Thank you, Julio. Yeah, I think you're voicing something that a lot of people are feeling. And I'll pass it on to Justin.
Yeah, I'm over here typing up an essay because I want to share that, but I also want to, like, I feel the, like, I don't know, my heart kind of hurts. I don't know how to put it better than what it is. It's like, it's just kind of true. And I think it's because there's a lot of heart and a lot of care that is put into this proposal and into this referendum. And I think that I just want to say, like, I'm in full support of what it is that isn't the intention behind the referendum. And what I was typing out was just looking at this idea that, like, you know, what I've learned in my time here. So I've been in Seeds for almost I see for almost a year and a half, but actively participating in developing Samara Trust RE for the last year. I keep my hands and my eyes in Haifa. I watch pretty much the system the best I can with all this going on. But what I want to just bring is that the nature of what there's a lot of all the men who have put this together, or even people who put this together, but it's mostly a group of men. It's like you're all pretty successful in your fields of work. You've all established yourself in some way, either as with like an expertise or with past ventures or businesses that have allowed you to show up in the way that you are, which is beautiful, because that's like a key strength that we need for economic development in the system, is entrepreneurial know-how and tact. And when I look at the way that what this is operating as, it almost doesn't follow the heart of entrepreneurship. Where it's not fully true. So it's not insult at all. It's actually saying that when I hear you guys, when I feel, the point of this is that if we can learn about it and test it out, if we get approval by the larger group first, that this is what they want to do. But when I think about entrepreneurship, most of the time you definitely want to have, you know, user cases and personas. You want to build with your people, human-centered design, yes. And also it's about knowing something is true and driving it forward because it has to be done in a way that doesn't really ask questions from the government. It's not fully true. It's not 100% honest and true. But the thing that I'm pointing to is more the nature of the spirit that I think is so important to what you guys are bringing to what this is, which is the heart to bring about change through embodied action. And I think the more this is embodied, the less we need Reiki or anyone else's approval to make it happen. And the faster we can kind of test it out. And that may not, and so because that feels like the hang up is like, and what I want to say is you guys are not alone in this heart, because, you know, I've been paid $4,000 total by Haifa over the course of my entire time working. That's not true. I'll say $5,500 across my entire time working in Seeds, and with Seeds in Samara alongside Haifa. And there's no system at all that's even trying to do anything about that change. And so what we did was, in Samara Trust, we established our own solution, and not for everyone yet, but because we just now kind of concretized that thing. But we kind of set up a common trust or a vocational liquidity pool where we were able to pull together what we had in order to invest in what we cared about, which is our work here in the system. And that's not the solution to all the problems everywhere at all. But what I'm naming is that thing is in alignment with what you're doing, but there's no way I don't know how to relate to what you put forward. I don't know how to relate to you either, in some ways, in the sense of how do I bring the energy and this care in a way that's non-competitive, but actually it's just aligned to your work in a way that allows us to bring solutions now, because we're making them just like you are, maybe at a different level or different way. But if you look at local pilots as locality pilots, where it's not about being on the ground in a physical location only, it's about being the bridge between the hyper local, so my physical El Dorado Springs, Colorado context, and the global social field of Seeds, that is a locality pilot in Samara Trust or Samara. And there's no, and we're pretty, the majority, we're not green, but we are young. And the call I'm making is that in the way this is coming about, the implementation is coming. I don't know how to say it. What I'm trying to say is just like that my heart is aligned with your heart, and I want the same thing that you want. And I don't know that this way, it feels disempowering from the thing that I know that you guys know how to do, and that we are doing. Many of us are doing. And so if we take that spirit of really kind of all recognizing stuff on the ground, even in these digital spaces, and build up from there, I think we should really kind of take back that whatever authority we're giving to something that's not even true. Like why are we waiting for Haifa? Should not be the only Haifa in our system, right? Like that's the thing about it. It's like they're not. That's what milestone 3 was about, not having that be the case. It's about us kind of breaking free and having our own kind of dominion and power, and yet we're still kind of at the whim or at there's a fearness, I think, or like around what may happen by the decision making of a few. but that's literally also the thing we're trying to get out of. And so I just think that if we focus on the local or locality pilots, not hyper focused, but we become the meso layer between these two things, I think it just works better. And I think the economic proposal is one that can do that. But we can build the solution now alongside people as the effort. And that way, there's no way that this proposal can lose, because we've already decided we're going to make it work together. And that's kind of what I advocate for, if that makes sense to what if I'm saying it's like landing or making sense. That's an aspect of the advocacy that I have here. And I'll share the text too, if that helps to make it more clear.
Thank you, Justin. For some reason, one quote from Steve Jobs came up to me when you were talking. It's stay hungry, stay foolish. So that's the fact that people are like, even senior people should aspire to that, I think. I want to have enough time to actually get into the conversation, so I'll pass it now to Mark, and I hope that in the coming 20 minutes we will have that time. Thank you.
Okay, so there's a lot of wonderful discussions going on, and I'd like to move it to practical a little bit more. And the intention of this proposal, and just very, very briefly, Julio and Terry and Alex and John and everybody on the call, this can still pass. We just need 60 or 70 people to vote yes and nobody to vote no. You know, it can pass. I can tell you, in the community in Kenya, in the community around Miguel and so forth, there's a lot of citizens that can vote, and they could vote yes. So we should not fall prey to worry about that. It can happen. I want to put up onto the screen slide 5 from the proposal and tell you a little bit about this. All right, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. If we look at Seeds as a company in the old world, okay, a company comes together because there's some creative ideas and a feeling that there's a need in the marketplace for the thing that's going to be created. You know, in regular business that people talk about, we're going to build a company that's going to make widgets. You know, and if we make good widgets, then people will buy them, and the value of the company will go up. And if we make widgets that nobody wants to buy and nobody sees value in, then the company will go bankrupt. And so if you look with that at the idea of Seeds and Web3 and crypto and these decentralized communities and all of that, Seeds is a group that has come together to create a product that we believe is valuable. And the value that we believe is that as success in Seeds will equate to more regenerative actions taking place on the planet, better, happier communities, more thriving trees, all of that. The regenerative renaissance, the vision. When you start a company, you need to have not only ideas, but the capacity to implement. You have to have people that are going to work. So you need to do the implementation. So you need a certain amount of working capital. And that working capital comes from investors typically. And those investors might be the same people that are working. So if somebody's going to work for a company, like Justin mentioned that he's been actively engaged in the ecosystem for a long time and has only made a small amount of money, in some sense, he has a lot of seeds as the compensation. You know, people contribute into a system by working, by providing their attention, by all of their passion and all of those things. So in Seeds, think of us now for a moment as a group coming together to create a product. What that product is the ability to exchange tokens back and forth with each other with no fees. That's a good thing. No fees, no Visa card charges or anything like that. So that's one thing that we're creating. A second thing that we're creating is that we want this to build community. And so we're saying the value that we're creating in this successful business. I mean, imagine if all that we did is created a wallet that anybody can exchange regular US dollars for or whatever, totally free forever. We'd be building Venmo or PayPal or something like that, except it'd be completely free forever. There's no delays in transactions. There's no canceling. There's no fees and all that stuff. That's what Seeds does. It's a wallet where you can exchange back and forth, but you have to make sure that everything is working well. And we said that that's not enough. That's not enough. We want to drive regenerative behavior. And so we're going to say this ecosystem is going to return the value that's created, not to just the investor or the venture capital firm that put in the money, but the new seeds that are created are going to go to everybody in the form of gratitude, in the form of a harvest protocol, in the form of the campaign gifts and all of these kinds of things. So who are the people that are the investors in Seeds? It's everybody. Who are the people that are implementing Seeds? It's everybody. Who are the people that are the customers for the product being created? It's everybody. This is a totally brand new kind of company. It's everybody. And if we all behave in a way that says that everybody is important, the stakeholders are important, it's not just about making the most money for the company or for this farm and not worrying about the water we polluted downstream, because that's not what we care about. We are saying it's an everybody situation. All right. So now we're going to look from that mindset of that it's an everybody situation, and we're going to look at these conditions that we propose to support the creation of Seeds liquidity. When we start off, and if you're Bitcoin, you start off and you put 21 million Bitcoins in an account called the starting account, and everybody else gets a wallet and they're empty. As many wallets as people want to have, they're empty. But the starting wallet had 21 million Bitcoins in it. And those 21 million Bitcoins started going out into the world by miners. And the service they provided was a trustless and a limited supply ecosystem. Fine. Fast forward time, now there's lots and lots of wallets and they all have different numbers in them, but the sum total of all the wallets is still 21 million Bitcoin. In Seeds, we said, I wasn't there, but the Seeds tokenomics said, we're going to issue 3.14 billion seeds, and that's it for a while until we get to go live. And then we'll start issuing more. But 3.14 billion seeds, and we're going to put them into these buckets, and they're going to start having seeds in different places. And that's what happened. Somebody put up a campaign proposal, they got some seeds. Somebody did some work, Haifa got some seeds. So seeds started going out into the world. What created value for them was simply everything that everybody was building. Everything that everybody was building was creating value for them. And the belief and the trust that the end result, the product that's being created, is going to be a game changer for humanity, a game changer for society. And you can have a bunch of people sitting in an ivory tower inventing this thing, but this thing really depends upon the communities using it on the ground, starting to use it and seeing that it provides value for them, that the farmers market has all of this circulation going on. The local community is inspired. But Seeds did another thing. They could have just started off and just said, everybody in the world, seeds are going to be worth $1. So we all know where we're starting. And they're going to go up against the dollar based upon the dollar going down due to inflation. So seeds are going to be stable for purchasing power, what we now like to use the word constant, that they're going to be going up in value. We could have just started off that way, but that isn't how they started it off. This is what we're proposing now largely, is to say, this is how we're going to do it starting now. They could have done that. But who was going to pay for everybody that was going to work? How are people going to pay for their rent and everything? And so they needed working capital. And so they designed a clever way of generating working capital by saying to people in the crypto space, buy a seed for a penny. We'll take that working capital, and Haifa was the caretaker. We'll take that working capital and make this product. We'll write the software. We'll tell the stories. We'll build the website. We'll empower communities to start using them by giving them seeds. And as long as there's enough working capital coming in to keep the whole thing going, it'll work out. And eventually we'll get to the point where we'll go live. The problem really is that there wasn't enough working capital, and Haifa wasn't necessarily the best steward to really inspire trust in all of this. And movement building began to say, we're not getting enough flow, and they moved out, and Haifa kicked them. All of those things happened. And then communities that were using seeds, Vilcabamba, Guatemala, Kenya, other places all over the world that were using seeds, all of a sudden didn't understand how to exchange them for fiat, because from time to time they did. And so the working capital was not distributed to empower everything everywhere. So for seeds to be successful, we have to have working capital to be deployed everywhere it's needed. We need to have people using it in a way that is robust and reliable, and that they can trust. That requires the ability for people that say, I love this vision, I've got $1,000. Could I contribute it in to help this vision succeed, come into reality? And other people that say, I have time, I have creativity, I have passion, I have skills. All of these different people coming together. If there's nobody coming in saying, I have dollars, or whatever the fiat is that will be needed from time to time in the overall ecosystem, even if nothing more than just to buy CPU cycles on Amazon, hosting computers, if there's no actual dollars coming in, then this won't work. So the Seeds Bootstrap said, we're going to ask investors, speculative investors, to put in money, starting at a penny, 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents, and it got up to about 10 cents, as everybody saw. It wasn't sustainable because there were no rules that stopped people from selling their tokens. There was no sustainability to the whole thing. There was no idea. So if we issue, for instance, 100 million seeds into the world for free because they're doing good work, that's creating value for the whole. But if all of those 100 million seeds need to actually turn into rent payments and dollars and euros and so forth, then there has better be $100 million someplace to allow that to happen. So we need to create the environment, and we created that environment through saying the crypto space has lots of money. People are greedy. They're going to come in. They're going to want to invest because it's a penny and it's going to be $1, and we're saying it's going to be $1 and all that stuff. And so that was the tool that was used. And so what is in this proposal right now, and I'm only going to spend 4 more minutes or 5 more minutes, and I want to get to Elisa's key question and also to Justin's key question. Justin said, why do we need to have this be voted on Seeds? Just do all this stuff anyway. You don't have to ask Seeds to do this. And the answer is you do. So here, the first one, deploy tools to enable peer-to-peer swaps between Seeds and fiat. There will always be people that are learning about Seeds that say, this is a beautiful vision, could I get some Seeds? Or maybe they're just in a farmer's market where the whole town is using Seeds and they need to get some Seeds. We need to create a vehicle to allow people that want to buy Seeds to conveniently and efficiently find people that want to sell Seeds. That's a peer-to-peer swap system. It has to be clean, easy to use, fast, efficient, all of those stuff. It was actually designed, by a group of people inside of Haifa and otherwise 1.5 years ago. I saw the original designs. I didn't know those original designs existed. So about 1.25 years ago, when I showed up, I said, hey, we need something like this. And I wrote a design for it. And it turned out that they were very similar. And so this is called the PTM. The PTM has not fully been implemented yet, but there is an alpha test version out there. And this PTM is designed to enable buyers to find sellers efficiently. Turning off Discord communication, turning off Telegram communication for buyers to find sellers is just a bad idea, and it creates lack of trust. So what we're saying here is create the conditions for Seeds liquidity. Let's build a tool like this. We are also going to say that this tool is going to give a reference price for what the Seeds community collectively is saying is the value of Seeds. The second one, deploy tools to create liquidity pools with meaningful rewards for the providers. Under the hood, whether it's a venture capitalist, a rich investor, Elon Musk or whatever, under the hood, if there was a large investor that said, I really believe in this, and you give them the ability to provide liquidity into the system will be stronger, because whether it's Miguel or someone any place in the world that has some seeds that temporarily needs to get some other coins, other fiat, they can do it. So we need to incentivize and provide meaningful rewards for people that have the capacity and the willingness to do this, whatever their inspiration is. It could be a philanthropy. It could be a big foundation that just philanthropically wants to do this. It does not have to be a business, venture capital, kind of world. So we need to create meaningful rewards for liquidity pools and make it easy for them to do it. Well, that's what swap.seeds.money is. And swap.seeds.money is already been deployed, and it can get better at this. The next one, deploy a path for collaborative selling. There are lots of people in seeds that are going to need money, and they can budget from time to time. Over the next, several months, I'm going to need this amount of money to pay my rent and stuff. And if you tell each of them, when you need to sell, go and sell to whatever is the buyer at the time. Go and sell whatever the buyer at the time. This is called competitive selling. This person might need to sell, and this person might need to sell, and this person might need to sell all at the same time. And if they all are in a rush, somebody will take a lower price, and somebody else will take a lower price, and somebody else will take a lower price. And that competitive selling in the absence of organized buying causes the price to go down. That's what happened on Uniswap. Haifa put in a big liquidity pool, said, come here and sell when you need to, we're stable. And then Haifa, without announcement, removed that liquidity pool. And then people went and sold relatively small amounts and found, well, wait a minute, the price is going down fast because there wasn't a liquidity pool and it wasn't communicated clearly. So what this third one says is design a collaborative selling path. This is what the Seeds Commons was set up to do, to collaboratively sell, to put together a pool of people that say, we are needing to sell, desiring to sell to fund working capital or other things, but we're going to do it in a patient, collaborative way. We need to make this available to everybody who has seeds that they need to sell so that we have collaboration working as a community. The next one, deploy a tool to create local currencies backed by deferred or staked seeds. There's a lot of beautiful ideas that have been discussed and are continuing to be worked on in Rainbow Seeds. And many of those can be really influential in building these conditions for seeds liquidity. And then the last one, deploy additional incentives for planting seeds. When people buy seeds, because they really believe in the vision and they don't need to sell them and they don't want to sell them and they know that they're on a journey to go someplace, we should give them a thanks to say, you are an investor in our company. Thank you for doing that. And you are going to plant your seeds for 2 years. That's wonderful. We want to thank you by whether giving gratitude seeds or higher planting scores or all of these different techniques. It's thanking people for doing that. These 5 elements together form a basis of stronger economics. If there are no people that want to buy seeds, no people that are wanting to acquire seeds, this whole thing stops. And so Elisa and Miguel and others that have asked questions about this, there is no way for people to exchange seeds to fiat immediately unless there are people who are buying seeds. And people will be inspired to buy seeds when there is more evidence of communities using seeds, where there is not this phase called a year or 2 years where you can't use seeds, you're just going to buy them and you're going to encourage to do it because the price is going up. If that's the whole startup strategy, find investors that are going to buy it because they want to double, triple, 5 times, 10 times, 100 times their money. That's our strategy. And we can't start using it until it gets to stable. Then we're trying to build, as Terry says, a love, joyful, thrivable, accomplished economy on a greedy start. And we need to build on a loving start. And so that is what this proposal intends to do. It says we need an organized way to move forward to get to stable. What we're said in this proposal is in December, this is going to happen. In March, this is going to happen. And in June, this is going to happen. We're going to have the harvest protocol on by June, and we're going to see this whole thing re-energized and operating. And so that's what this proposal is about, because where we're sitting right now, where, the roundtables that the 3-day of conversations that took place in September that kind of led to a stopping of the ecosystem, that did damage to the trust and to the growing enthusiasm for the ecosystem, and we can repair it, and that's what this proposal is about. So I have, as I said, these 5 things would go to the Seeds Commons. Tyler very clearly and very lovingly said the Seeds Commons is not ready to do this. The Seeds Commons didn't even agree to do this, and you're telling us in this proposal the Seeds Commons is going to be a space where this happens. And I know that. I know that we didn't get the Seeds Commons to buy into it yet because the Seeds Commons hadn't even had their first meeting. But the Seeds Commons can create working subgroups, committees that take on the implementation of this. And Justin, you are correct. A liquidity provider could come and just do this whole thing, but we have 170 million seeds out there that need to be honorably supported and honored what the intention was, but in a way that doesn't damage the whole ecosystem, where all 170 million say, hey, thank you for building this liquidity pools. I need to sell right now. So we have to solve that tension as well. So all of these things are things that I imagine take place in the conversation in the Seeds Commons and that we get to implementation. But if this referendum doesn't pass, we're going to need the energy and enthusiasm of another referendum or another thing to come out. And Reiki has basically said he just wants to start up a new Seeds that cancels out all the seeds that went to wrong places and starts a new one that rebalances economic incentives. And I don't want to, and he doesn't want to get evolution. He doesn't think that it's possible in our current working environment to solve this interior to the existing seeds. It needs to be a fork that starts over. But in the new fork that starts over, it's still based upon a quickly escalating price of seeds to get us to a starting point. Miguel, thank you for everybody. Thank you for listening to me.
Apostle, can I just ask Mark to add how we could all work together to get the number of votes that are needed?
We need to ask citizens to vote yes, and it's hard to find citizens, but there are people on this call, whether in Guatemala, in Kenya, in other places. I'll put up a list of all the citizens that haven't voted yet, and we can ask them to vote yes. But for each one that votes no, then we get harder and harder to make it to yes. Miguel?
Thank you. Thank you, Mark, for this was spectacular and amazing, really. The way that you explained that. Much gratitude. Miguel? You are muted. Please unmute.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Mark. As I wrote, I always really love listen to you. You are one of our best storytellers. Yet I also tell you, really, like in that situation that I am, I do not see a practical solution yet to that situation, even with all your enthusiasm that I share with you. That's why I'm here. Yet, like the practical, really down-to-earth approach, I cannot translate it to my situation. So just that you get this feedback. But anyway, I love what you do and how you describe it. Very shortly, I absolutely do not believe in the top-down approach that we attract big investors. I hear that since I joined Seeds 8 months ago. It's not happening, and I have really doubts, and I also do not know if that is really healthy for our so-called ecosystem, because usually big investors, there are tiny little hooks attached in the small print, and they have influence when they give their money, and I do not like that. I have seen it in my life. I don't feel it's a good idea. So what is a good idea? So again, practical here, real life examples. I'm in a bioregion that has a huge potential, Lake Atitlan. There are people already knowing a lot about crypto. They are open to that. They are all on the regenerative side. All is a little bit exaggerated. Many are on the regenerative side. So there is really fertile ground. And if I speak to the people and I mention that we also are working on local tokens, then I see them lightening up. And that's the approach, because people are ready to put their money where they live. And that can be 1,000 from 100 people instead from 100,000 from some, I don't want to use swear words, loving soul that made a lot of money with bullshit. So that's the approach that I'm now currently focusing on. So please, Seeds community, support us workers on the ground and give us these practical steps. And how can we create that local solutions, local liquidity pools, or my prosperity pools? What a beautiful minting of words, Then we have local prosperity pools, we have local tokens. And also one more thing, like this prosperity pools. Now I'm relaxing again and breathing out. Sorry for taking you on that ride. So if we have liquidity pools or prosperity pools with fiat currency, I feel it's absolutely fine to start at least with something that has a controlled way of exchange, that not just anybody who holds seeds can tap into and draw out the fiat, but those people who are recognized by the ecosystem as doing the real work on the ground. And that would be a real support for people like me and many others around here. So if they're, if we say we have only limited resources, then at least let's invest these resources where they really matter the most. And I mean, we can install that. That should not be too difficult to find a system that really feeds into our vision. So that's thank you for listening.
Thanks, Miguel. We are at time, and I feel we don't have enough space to get into what Mark was saying, because everything that he said was super interesting and important. So yeah, I'll just leave a space for a checkout, because we have another meeting and we can go maybe 10 minutes late in that meeting, but let's do a checkout and some final words now. Terry, you have to unmute yourself, sorry. Yes.
If there's a practical way, Mark, that you could inform all of us of how we could be helpful to getting people to vote, I would appreciate that. I don't know what that practical way would be, but I suspect you do. So if there's a way you could send all those citizens to us and send connections to us, and then break it down into, like, there's, we could have a show of hands here, Apostle, of the people who'd be willing to take 10 people and send them a direct message. We could end up getting, 100, 200 people. So could you do something like that for us?
I'll post into the referendums channel.
We'll post it on the referendums channel.
I'll post information to the referendums channel on the Seeds Discord.
How to do that?
How could you break it down so that I could take 10 or 20 people and somebody else could take 10 or 20 people?
Yeah.
Is there a way you can do that also?
We'll see how the organization comes from there, but I'll get the raw information out to everybody.
Okay. Thanks, Apostle.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to just have a round from Alex, Julio, and Jean because they were part of the group. And I'm having just facilitator head off before I'll watch that recording again. Because Mark articulated something that wasn't very clear, even for me, being inside the ecosystem such a long time and playing the game, still wasn't very clear on all that he said. Yeah. I have question arise in me, but I'll just go through the checkout now and leave space for Alex, Julio, and John, and also after that, anyone else who wants to say a few words before we end this meeting.
I can start if you want, Apostle. I just wanted to say that I'm really grateful for the meeting we just had, because it gives a lot of hope that we can pass this referendum, or even if it doesn't pass, we can move forward, you know. And I think, as I was saying earlier, and as everybody on this call was saying, I think there's this sense of urgency that we need to respond to. And Julio was even talking about another level of alert, you know, which I believe we need to find a solution for. So having the community, you know, this point of view and this focus on communities is really, I think, the key to this new evolution. And I think we need to create the conditions for communities to trust, to be willing to try it out, and to you know, have the enthusiasm to try it on the ground, and to really embrace the opportunity of a new currency that is regenerative, you know, because as Mark said, we are creating something that is entirely unique for everyone, with everyone contributing to it. So that's us, the people who can change the world. So let's start there, I think. And yeah, I'm really optimistic now that I had this meeting. That's great. Thanks, Apostle, for organizing that. That's great.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, Julio.
Yeah, I'm also a bit more optimistic about getting this approved, and I believe this is really important for the health of the ecosystem. I mean, it's a way to bring back life into the currency. That's the most urgent thing that needs to happen, you know. So let's keep the discussion alive on Discord and try to get more citizens to vote. See if we, because after that, of course, the actual implementation is much better. I mean, we already have given a lot of ideas, but it's much better if we trust the seeds commons now to start taking the front, because otherwise, before that, it was only Haifa. Now we have more organizations taking care of seeds, which is good, right? So let's celebrate that as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Julio. John, do you want to say some final words? Or yeah, okay, thank you. Mark,
I'd like to say one thing to
Terry, yeah.
Miguel. I think there's an alternative to the liquidity pool, and I'll bring that forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Thanks, everyone. And yeah, let's keep the conversation going. Have a great day, evening, weekend.
Namaste.
Bye.
Thanks so much, guys. See you.